Tips and tricks on all the maps in Fall Guys Season 6. If you're on the seesaw with this treadmill to your left, the seesaw will always tilt to the left side. And if you're on the seesaw with this drum to your right, the seesaw is always going to tilt to the right side. This is constant and doesn't change, but it can change with an update, but as of Season 6.5, this is the case. Here are the different ways you can qualify on airtime. The middle section seems difficult, but it's easy once you understand where to position yourself and when to jump dive. Use a trapeze to lunge yourself towards a tile that has passed a boxing glove or to a tile that isn't close to a glove. Try and position yourself where you have enough space to run forwards and move slowly and stop for a second or two. Then if the tile in front of you has passed a boxing glove, that's when you run towards it and then jump dive. Move very slowly and try to hang back until you see an opening. Really, it's all about making sure the tile in front of you has passed a glove and having a bit of a running start before you jump dive. For this section, what you want to do is stand on the bottom half or the half that's far from the fan. And if a bunch of people stand on that section or near it, it will tilt towards the fan, shielding you from the gust of wind. If you've fallen down, you can use the flippers to flip yourself back up. This is especially useful for when you're doing the seesaw strat because the flippers are very close to the seesaws. You can also use this to get back on top of the 360-degree seesaws. This map is great because of the ways you can qualify. Every run you can qualify a different way. Although the seesaw strat is by far the quickest way to qualify. Taking the high ground and having a bird's eye view over the light is going to be something everyone should do, especially if you spawn near the button. Always check your surroundings and take the high ground when a light is about to hit a block. Use the spinning discs to launch yourself towards the light. Positioning and patience are vital to winning on this map. The light will go forwards for a few seconds and go in a completely different direction. Always be aware that the light may change directions any second. Use the fan in the middle to float yourself to high ground and dive right before you land so that you don't stumble and ragdoll and can move fast. When you reach the slime fall section, position your camera to the top left and you should be able to see the floor below you. Make your way to the wall and keep mashing your jump button until you land. And if you did it properly, you should be straight thrusted forwards. A more guaranteed but slower way of doing this section is to dive headfirst into the wall. These days, I never take the trapeze, instead I go straight and make my way to the disc. And from there, I run and then jump dive directly onto the platform. This is slightly faster than getting back on top of the pipe. A tip I can give you is to line yourself up to the very edge and dive later rather than early. It's possible to do this from both sides. While you're making your way down from the final hilly section, if you jump on top of this bumper, you can actually jump over a rotating wall. The timing is incredibly tricky because you have to jump the instant you land on the bumper. Not sure what the practicality of this tip is, but it's still incredibly cool to know. You can avoid the boxing glove section entirely by jump diving onto the bumpers. You can also jump on the bumpers, but jump diving is the easiest and by far the most consistent way of doing this section. At the beginning, you can take two sides. The right has blizzard fans and flippers, while the left side has water balloons with bumpers. For the right side, once you're about to land down, I recommend you dive so that you land smoothly and don't risk the chance of ragdolling. Since the fans float up from left to right, make your way to the right side because by the time you'll get there, the fan will be floating upward. Try to predict where the fan will go instead of running to an area that's empty. And as for the left side, you can skip the first set of bumpers by diving when you're about to land. And once a bumper reaches a side, you then can cross a section. This section is much easier than the blizzard fan section by far. Both the left and right side will have this zone. You can skip the first set of hammers by diving once you're starting to fall. You then jump dive on the drums and make your way almost like you're playing Lily Leapers. Like all the other zones mentioned previously, you can skip the first row by diving over the section, but at times you just won't have the momentum to do so. If you see a balloon that's down and you're quite far away, by the time you'll get there, it will puff back up. So try and go for balloons that are activated or puffed up, and then once they're down, you can cross easily. Try and go to the middle and jump on the head of the baton or this thing right here. This is by far the easiest way to get over this zone. Just cross the first set of donuts and it should be dead simple. Nothing much to it really. For this zone, you can jump dive directly on the seesaw so you never have to land on the floor. Just run a little bit and then jump dive to lunge yourself towards the seesaw. If while in the air, you see the seesaw on one side, run to the other side, and by the time you'll reach there, the seesaw will already be tilted to the side that you're on. This is the safest way to go about this section, but you could just jump dive on the seesaw right when you immediately land on the floor. While in the air, make sure to dive so that you land smoothly and are able to move right away. If you get on the seesaw right away, right when you land, I recommend you run to the other side because the seesaw could flip to the other way. So if you feel like the seesaw is about to flip while you're on it, just move to the other side just to be safe. It's all about anticipating the seesaw and acting accordingly. In order to get on the trapeze, you jump towards it and while in midair, hold your grab button and you'll latch onto it. Once you're on the trapeze, you let go of your grab button and then dive. if you let go of your grab key, you'll plop yourself to the finish line. I don't recommend you take this path. It's slow and the water balloon could knock you off instead. So go to the top of the ramp and then jump dive into the pipe. You could do it either side. This is nearly foolproof, but it's not as fast as taking the trapeze. This is also great for when you reach the hill, but the trapeze is away from you. If you're spawned in the front, the middle path is by far the fastest way. However, if you're spawned in the back, too many people will be on the middle path by the time you get there. So I recommend you take the side path instead. Jump on top of the fence and then jump dive to the drum. I recommend you dive once you've hit the drum to cancel the floating animation and so that you land on the disc fast. To do the final section fast, jump dive on the first drum and then make your way to the second drum. Use the bollards or donuts to push yourself forwards. The number one tip I can give you for Sweet Thieves is to parkour and parkour often. The way the map has been laid out and developed is to encourage people to parkour. Here are some advanced techniques that pros use. Jump and then stand on top of the pink fence and go invisible. No guardians ever expect thieves to do this. Once the button can be pressed, you then jump dive on top of the button. Speaking of the button, they lowered the cooldown of the button from 30 seconds to 20 seconds. This gives thieves more chances to free their teammates. However, even with the cooldown reduction, I still recommend you do this if you're a guardian. Go and press a button at the very start of the match so that the thieves are unable to press a button for 20 seconds. Do note that the gate will close 5 seconds after you press a button, so be aware of that. A technique I recommend people practice when Sweet Thieves comes around is the throw and pick strat. To do the throw and pick strat, while you're holding a candy, you just throw it in front of you and then grab the candy and just keep doing that over and over again. The reason you would do this is because you move faster when you're not holding an object. By doing this, you get the candy to the basket faster. Knowing which blocks you can jump on top of while holding a candy is incredibly important. You can jump on this rectangular block if you're holding a candy. However, you can't jump up these blocks if you have a candy on hand. Once a thief has dropped a candy, guardians are able to kick the candy, so try to kick all the candies to one side so that you only really need one guardian to defend it. Also, if you're in the water stage zone, try to kick the candy onto this corner right here, and if you're in the box zone, kick the candy to this corner and use a box to cover it up. They won't be able to get it from the front, and if they do try to go for it, you can easily catch them. This is something I don't see enough guardians doing. Guardians will usually ignore the goal or the basket zone, and they will just let candies go in. You can just camp on the basket zone and just kick whatever candies you see approaching the goal. But do be careful because you could potentially kick a candy into the goal. So try to kick a candy into a flat area and not near the basket because the basket is naturally curved, so candies will be more likely to go in. This can definitely be useful towards the tail end of a Sweet Thieves game and could potentially be the difference between you winning a game or losing a game. If you need hyper-specific standalone videos on all the maps in Season 6, click this playlist right here because it is filled with great tips that will have you qualifying on these maps with ease. Also, if you found this video incredibly useful, do subscribe because I'm trying to get to 2,000 subscribers by the end of 2022.